Hey guys, this week is cognitive load theory, and this is how the instructional process affects the working memory. And so hopefully our goal is learning, which is storing the information into long-term memory, but it's important for the students to be able to recall information that they have learned. So it's kind of like a file in their brain that they've made a connection to, and they can recall that information back. And I think that's an important part. And as I was thinking to connect this personally, I was thinking about my own classroom, and I use a lot of cooperative learning groups, and they're generally grouped heterogeneously. So you've got all kind of ability groups grouped together. And how I see this working as far as cognitive load theory, how I see that kind of played out in my classroom is you have your lowest kids who maybe having trouble with the concept itself, like it is too difficult to even think about it first. So it takes them a little more time. And as I give the students time to discuss with each other, like I may be in front of the classroom 5 to 10 minutes tops, introducing the topic of the day or the problem for that day or the investigation, and then students are able to talk with one another as I facilitate discussion. So my groups kind of stay where they are, and I facilitate those groups. So with the lowest learners, they probably just need to be redirected and for another student to give them instructions one more time. Then you've got your middle students who may be ready to run with it. They may have it, they may not. They may also benefit from just a second dose or hearing it from a student. I know sometimes that helps me to say, what are we supposed to be doing again? Like, what were her instructions? What exactly should we be doing with this? And then with my advanced kids, they have the hardest time with being able to explain and justify their reasoning. And so as we were introduced to germane loading, where it was talking about, in Dr. Holder's presentation, he mentioned having a framework for learning. And if you have the framework and you can make connections to something that you already know, then you will benefit and you'll actually have that stored in long-term memory. So it's very important for me to introduce real-life scenarios, or try to use prior knowledge and make connections for my students so that they can take it and run with it. And it forces them to kind of slow down and justify their thinking and be able to process the information. So as I introduce something, the kids work on it. We come back together and we discuss, what we learned, what we're still confused about, and it may take us 2 to 3 days or maybe even possibly a week to get through one of those DOK level 3 problems. But I think that it's our job as the teacher of the classroom to lessen the stress and distractions the best ways that we can. And we can do that by not spending too much time in front of 30 students at a time, but kind of letting them take more responsibility and own it so that they can store that information and hopefully have that long term.